want to go off the deep end. I don't think you want to go off the deep end.
Nobody different. I spoke it too early. I messed it up. I messed it up. Okay. Enough joking around. Hey everybody, it's IMO Reviews here, your boy Spags. Today we're going to talk about the newest Sleepy Hallow record. Sleepy Hallow presents Sleepy for President. Now, if you're not familiar with Sleepy Hallow, he's a up-and-coming Brooklyn rapper who kind of has taken on this new, very popular, growing genre of Brooklyn drill, which was inspired by grime and UK drill hip-hop music. He's recently become really popular because a lot of people have made vines out of one of his songs, which is a deep end freestyle, which actually ends up being the intro to this album here. This song features a loop of this woman singing in such a eerie, ominous, low-key kind of tone as she repeatedly says, "I don't think you want to go off the deep end," which kind of gives a dark edge to the track in a way. Later, there's some drums that come in that kind of sound, again, reminiscent of that Brooklyn or UK drill style, as Sleepy Hallow comes in with a very unique flow, some very aggressive delivery in his vocals, and some New York hip-hop style bars throughout this thing. I mean, for the most part, it is kind of what you would expect from a rapper from New York within this new up-and-coming scene. It's nothing too, like, absurd in the lyrics. It's nothing too clever or impressive. However, there are a few lines in here, such as when he says that he keeps a strap like a dyke, or that little wordplay where he was saying something about he got people that will take you out, but he's not talking about a date. Just clever things like that, kind of embellished and sewn throughout the verse of this thing. It's one of the better cuts on the project, one of the more unique sounding songs on this thing. And there's plenty of bangers and catchy songs throughout this project, such as Batty Betty Boop, which I love Sleepy Hollow's delivery on here. It's a very elastic ooh that he throws in through the chorus. It makes it really catchy, something that you kind of want to scream back at him. 5-Yo Foreign has a pretty decent verse on this too. It's a nice beat, nice hook. There's also cuts on here like Don't Panic, which features this wonky sounding bass and guitar melody over these trap-like percussion drums, and Sleepy Hallow comes in with a very heavy bass-filled voice and delivery on this, an excellent flow. Chef G kind of sounds very similar to him, actually. It's a bit hard to tell them apart, but they both fit the vibe of the song very well in their delivery. I like this cut a lot. Love the rhythm. Definitely a banger. There's also some moodier cuts on here which feel very inspired by artists like A Boogie, who have come out of the East Coast New York scene, with their weeping guitar melodies over trap drums like we've heard A Boogie do before. But there's also moody cuts like Anxiety Freestyle, which has a bit more of some clever wordplay throughout it, such as Move Hot, he get flipped like some burgers, or the line, "Little bitch, I'm a dog, never seen a vet." I kind of like the cleverness of some of these lines that he's woven into this. So certainly overall, there's a lot of variety to this project. I mean, there's some cuts that are really hard, some that are kind of emotional, some that are a bit more lyrically provoking. But I'd say that overall, a fault of the project is that despite its versatility and despite the many styles that Sleepy Hallow could take on in this project, it still sounds reminiscent of a lot of different artists, and he sounds a bit too similar to them for many tracks here. Like, for example, although I like Dead End Freestyle, I like tracks like Anxiety Freestyle or Don't Panic, I feel that here he sounds very similar to G Herbo or like other Chicago drill artists, like even some Chief Keef influence, which he kind of wears on his sleeve a little bit on this project. And obviously some of the flows too are very reminiscent of the late great Pop Smoke, being that he was a pioneer in making this Brooklyn drill style a bit more popular than it was upon its conception. But again, there's also cuts here where the instrumental sounds very similar to something we would hear A Boogie on, such as 6 a.m. in New York, or Water, or the track Bad Luck sounds very similar to something like that. And even the delivery, the slight melody and inflections that Sleepy Hallow puts in his voice, it's very similar to the melodies we would hear A Boogie present throughout a verse, the way that he would spit something, the same kind of cadence in his delivery. I also feel like although there is a lot of versatility in the style on this project, I think at the end of the day, when you listen to it lyrically, it seems like Sleepy Hollow is kind of talking about the same things on a lot of tracks, which makes the album grow a little bit dull like halfway through, where I'm kind of like, I feel like I've heard the same kind of story about his life. And he does have an interesting life, but I feel like I've heard the same kind of backstory on like a previous track of his. So with all that being said, this full project ends up sadly being a bit of a mixed bag, but I will say that I think Sleepy Hollow is really an artist that we should be looking to right now, because I think that if he's able to take the skills that he has, this incredibly deep delivery, an ability to occasionally come up with some clever wordplay, and an ability to deliver it in such a speedy flow that there's a bit of intensity behind it. I think if he can take all of the style and make it not as derivative of other New York East Coast artists coming up in that scene, I think he can seriously have some potential to, evolve the sound of Brooklyn drill and make it something that it's never been before, kind of improve upon it. So overall, I'm not super impressed with this record, but I think that upon the next couple of ones, Sleepy Hollow will hopefully see some growth, kind of become his own artist a little bit and find his own unique style, and hopefully still stick with that Brooklyn drill kind of music though, but in his own way, because I think that he very much has a lot of skills going for him to really evolve that scene, and I think that he will be a voice for the future of it leading forward. For this one, I'm feeling 3 out of 5 bottles of Hennessy, because I feel like my man Sleepy Hollow really off the Henny, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, definitely a great artist to look out for. I hope he improves upon the skills that he has. Definitely check him out, and I'll be doing some more reviews. Thank you guys so much, and tune in next time.